In modern society, workaholism has become a pervasive phenomenon. Many people are so consumed by their jobs that they feel a relentless urge to work 24/7. According to the case studies of Dr. Brian Jameson, a renowned American regression therapist and author of Looking for Past Lives, this compulsive drive is often deeply rooted in experiences from previous incarnations. Jerome, a successful American businessman in his early 50s, lived in a state of perpetual exhaustion. Although his doctor warned him that he was on the brink of collapse, Jerome found it impossible to slow down. At his wife's urging, he sought out Dr. Jameson to uncover why he couldn't allow himself to rest. Under hypnosis, Jerome discovered a past life as a ruthless slave owner. In that era, he had driven his laborers without mercy, often beating them to death when they collapsed from fatigue. He felt no empathy for their suffering, caring more for the well-being of his horses than for human life. Through the regression, Jerome realized that his father in this current life was once one of the slaves he had cruelly mistreated. This karmic connection explained his father's harsh and demanding nature toward him today. Furthermore, Jerome realized he was now inflicting the same cruelty upon himself, becoming his own harshest taskmaster. The session also revealed another lifetime where Jerome was beaten to death by a master for failing to work hard enough. To escape the subconscious fear of that trauma, he had been forcing himself to outwork everyone around him. Once Jerome understood these karmic patterns, the shackles of self-oppression broke. Within weeks, his wife reported that he had transformed into a much more relaxed and approachable person. Maggie was the star of her office, but her success felt like a prison. She found herself unable to say no to any request, leading her boss to pile on tasks because he knew she would never refuse. This inability to set boundaries left her miserable and guilt-ridden. During her regression, Maggie found she had once been a male slave who lacked the physical stamina required for hard labor. Because of his weakness, he was ostracized by other slaves who had to compensate for his lack of productivity. His life ended in utter despair, dying weak and abandoned after being brutally whipped by her master. In her current life, Maggie was unconsciously overcompensating for that past failure. By being the most diligent worker in the room, she was trying to ensure that no one could ever label her as lazy again. After releasing the trauma of that abandonment, Maggie remained a hard worker, but she finally found the freedom to leave work for tomorrow without feeling a shred of guilt. Grace described herself as being honest to a fault. The mere thought of taking something that didn't belong to her would trigger weeks of intense guilt. In her career, she was the first to arrive and the last to leave, skipping meals and breaks to maintain a standard of perfection that far surpassed her colleagues. Despite her achievements, she struggled with a deep sense of worthlessness and chronic migraines. Dr. Jameson traced these feelings back 300 years to England, where Grace had been a 7-year-old street urchin. Arrested for stealing, she was sent to a workhouse where she remained until her death 5 years later. There, she labored from dawn to dusk, scrubbing frozen stone floors and enduring the abuse of a cruel overseer who constantly told her she was worthless. The verbal and physical abuse she suffered as a child destroyed her self-esteem, a wound that bled into her current life as a desperate need to prove her value through work. Coincidentally, Grace discovered that the overseer who eventually killed her in that life was her father in this one. This explained her lifelong, instinctive fear of him. By confronting these memories, Grace was able to stop her compulsive self-striving. While she remained distant from her father, she released her resentment toward him. Most remarkably, the migraines she had suffered since her youth completely disappeared after the session. These 3 stories illustrate that the workaholic label often masks deeper, unresolved karmic imprints. They serve as a powerful reminder that our current behaviors are frequently the echoes of a long-forgotten past, and that everything ultimately is governed by the law of cause and effect.